Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of iGaming Next Weekly News Live. What a roller coaster week it has been. We've had drama, we've had debauchery, we've had layoffs, and all of that was just in Nico Janssen's private life.
That's a good one. I
Thank you,
need to
Nico.
take notes on this one. I will re-watch it for sure. That's awesome. That's hilarious. So first of
Good
all,
man.
thank you for having me, Jake, for giving this kind of an intro. So if you see anyone running around in the back, it's pretty much based on the statement which Jake just gave us, but it's also literally the fallout. Why it's just the two of us, Jake, right? Because Connor and Pierre and Magnus. Sometimes people literally just fall off. If the tough, what's the name? If it's getting tough, the tough gets going. The song, right? It's just the two of us.
Exactly.
If the going gets
Exactly.
tough, the tough gets going. So, as said, just the two of us, and we're back on Restream, which is good because as of now we can see all your comments on LinkedIn, etc. So feel free to literally send us a comment as well. Jake, how are you in the last week, just before ICE?
I'm very good, Nico. Thank you. You're right. We need to. It's not often just the two of us. I think maybe we'll be the gruesome twosome, seeing as you and Pierre are the dynamic duo. But I know I'm good. I was 30 years old yesterday, Nico. So I'm feeling like a bit of an old man today, I must say.
So, congratulations, happy birthday once again.
Thank you
Believe
very
it or
much.
not, life will not change significantly.
Okay, yeah, it does feel very similar to 29, I must say. But you're right to point out we're back on Restream. Thank you to everybody who's commented already. Hi to Bogdan, hi to Elizabeth, and hi to Ashish there. And a big thank you to everyone that's watching, and also to our sponsors today, Playson. So, Nico, like I said at the top, it's been a crazy week. It's impossible to cover everything. But that is the beauty of Nico's 10 and 5, because anything that we would, love to discuss, but we might not have the time for, you can include in your beautifully condensed little roundup for us. So, do you want to take it away, Nico?
Yeah, just giving it a shot once again. Fingers crossed it will work out. So, as said, we have a lot of news to cover. I will just briefly introduce us. Yeah, that's great. Briefly introduce us to some of these. So, Entain, another year of strong financial, operational, and strategic progress. The full year group EBITDA is expected to be in the range of 985 million pounds to 995 million pounds, which is representing a growth of 12% versus the prior year. The CEO, Mrs. Jettenegard Anderson, states, "We have continued to grow our revenues in a sustainable and diversified way by expanding our global footprint, broadening our customer appeal, entering new areas of entertainment, and providing a safe environment for our customers." Shout out to Entain. Then dealing with two horses or two powerhouses within the affiliate sector. Better Collective finally and officially acquired a 5% minimum stake position in Catena Media. While 1 year ago, the price per share was roughly $5.15 for a share of Catena Media, it is currently literally half the value, and it's a slight bounce back already. And Better Collective obviously took the chance to acquire a position of over 5%, which is at least the sum of 10 million US dollars. Heading over to the US, Nevada's gaming industry shatters its previous record at all-time high of roughly 15 billion revenues for 2022, based on 22 straight months of a 1 billion or more gaming revenue. This now comes to the overall numbers of 2022. which represent 14.8 billion dollars of revenue in the gaming revenue. Still staying in the US and dealing with the online market share of US sports betting, which is based on an H2 analysis. And guess what? It's still the Magic Three, FanDuel holding roughly 43% of the market share, DraftKings 25%, and BetMGM with 10%, leading to an overall of 77% of the market share held by these three companies. Then New York, there's a hearing where Alice and New York State Restaurant Association are giving some insights or begging to be able to offer retail sports betting as well. So the New York State Restaurant Association is urging lawmakers to expand gaming licenses in New York State to include restaurants as well, which will be, and then on premises betting will expand to the economic arsenal available to restaurants as they continue to still struggle with the harsh economic environment. So maybe we will see betting allowed in restaurants as well. Don't know how it has not been allowed, because when I was in New York, I'm probably free to use my mobile however I want to use my mobile, but maybe things have changed. But we will for sure find out during iGaming Next New York. Still staying in New York, and it's a continuous topic because there's an update on the New York casino race as the Soloviev Group and the Mohegan Tribe partner on the entertainment district bid on Manhattan. Just remember last week we just talked about two, if I'm not mistaken, it was Caesars or MGM cooperating with another powerhouse to actually offer or hand in a bid for a casino on Times Square. As of now, these plans are aiming for the so-called, Freedom Plaza, which is located on Manhattan's east side. So apart from the Times Square, even on the east side, the Freedom Plaza, we see big companies pitching to offer their casino. So, and then heading over to Texas, as casino gaming sports betting poll shows a public support, not like in California, to allow voters to approve casinos in the state. As of now, 41% of adults strongly support a joint resolution that would allow these gaming forms, while only 13% strongly oppose the proposal. So maybe we will see one of the biggest economies, as big as Canada, opening up iGaming as well. Colorado surpasses the 10 billion in sports wagering her handle in the US. They are the seventh state actually passing this magic number of 10 billion in all-time sports wagering. The IBIA reports 268 suspicious betting alerts in 2022. To give you a slight overview, for the 5-year period from 2018 to 2022, the IBIA has reported 1,224 alerts across 21 sports and 102 countries, with football and tennis accounting for 595 and 295 overall, representing 70% of all cases. And last but not least, Neo Games. So the their offering as Aspire Global have agreed on a metropoling gaming online casino deal, and they are now in charge of making sure that the metropoling gaming will be online ASAP. And that's my 10 and 5.
Cracking job, Nico. You had an awful lot to cram in there, so I'll forgive you for having the extra minute or so on
Okay.
the end. Really good job. But I want to say a quick hello to Lars and to Stephen, and thank you very much for the birthday wishes, and to Katie and Liga, who are good friends at onlinegamblers.com. But it's actually Bogdan who leads us very nicely into our first topic of the show. There are a million places we could start, but I think we should rewind to the start of the week when some pretty crazy news came out from 888 or 888, as Connor calls them. So Itai Pazner, who was their CEO, and he'd worked at the company for more than 20 years, believe it or not, was basically made to fall on his sword. So his sudden exit coincided with the news that 888 has opened a compliance investigation into the fact that the company basically failed to meet KYC and AML protocols for high value VIP customers in the Middle East. And we know, source of wealth is especially important in the Middle East. So yeah, this has left 888 without a kind of CEO in a very difficult time. And Lord Mendelsohn, who has kind of stepped in as chair to provide a bit of interim leadership, has said, the board and I take the group's compliance responsibilities incredibly seriously. When we were alerted to these issues with some of 888's VIP customers, the board took decisive actions. Now, it's all change at 888, and the stock market did not like these developments at all, really. We were covering the story, and the stock was just going down and down and down. And I think it ended up about 20% down that morning. And even like some of the most bullish investors were having to ask some quite difficult questions about sort of how and why this was allowed to happen. And one of those was Peel Hunt, which is a London-based investment bank, and they've for a long time now they've insisted that 888 is a buy stock despite its mounting debt. And they admitted that their recommendation to buy was a bit less credible following the news that broke at the beginning of the week, and it actually lowered its target price from 150 pence per share down from 200 pence per share to 150 pence per share. And one of their analysts said, the share price decline implies investor concern that we are not being told what is really going on. The board has a lot to do to reassure that there are no more problems here to be revealed. So Peel Hunt thinks there may be more to come. Nico, what was your initial reaction to this news? I think it was on Monday morning.
Yeah, so first of all, this statement was based on their in-house investigations, right? So it has not been a regulator telling them there's something fishy going on. So it has been their in-house investigations. And yeah, let's put it this way. Whoever investigated on this one was quite happy that he was backed by the C-level, by the board, because it could also and possibly been the other way around, where the board actually backs the CEO. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Of course, there has been an official statement, which, yeah, if you're a publicly listed company dealing with these kinds of news, although they just represent, if I'm not mistaken, within the press release, it's 3% of the overall revenues is represented by the VIP customers from the Middle East. So it's not like this big of an issue. But as of now, and if you just remember when 888, as the smaller fish, actually bought William Hill for roughly 1.9 billion pounds or 1.7 billion pounds. Adding 500 millions in overall value. So the value of the both companies was roughly 2.3 billion pounds. And as of now, and based on the latest scandals, the overall market cap is just 350, 400 million pounds. So they literally washed out more than 75% of the overall market capitalization. And yeah, I'm thrilled to see what might still be coming, because in the end, if your AML and KYC policies are not working fine in one market as it's the overall policy, there might be other markets which represent even more of the overall group revenue affected as well. So fingers crossed, each and everything will still be good, but
Mhm.
it's not the
Yeah.
latest. There will be something coming up for sure.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're right to point out that this was an internal investigation, Nico, but this news is, more than likely to attract the attention of other regulators. So the UK Gambling Commission said it wouldn't comment, as it was I think it was on part of 888's Gibraltar license where these kind of failings in the Middle East took place. But yeah, the spotlight is definitely likely to open the door to more investigations to a company that doesn't actually have a CEO as of right now. So my question to you, Nico, is: would you want that job?
Nope.
No, I don't think you're
No,
the only one.
no, 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 no. Not open for that position. As said, as of now, we're just talking about 3% of the revenue. Probably there are investigations already going on with the UK Gambling Commission, and if you just see how they find actually Aspire Global for not running or for not keeping up with their KYC on business partners, and they had been fined 350, 400,000 pounds just for not running KYCs on their B2B partners. So if there's
Yeah.
something fishy with the KYC on your B2C customers,
Yeah,
as
well, we've
said,
seen the Gambling Commission flex those muscles before, haven't we? Because I think 888 were fined £9 million for KYC and AML failings fairly recently.
yep.
And when they bought William Hill, it was announced that William Hill was being investigated by the Gambling Commission for failings that occurred back in 2021. And I chased the Gambling Commission for an update on this week, and they said once again we don't comment on ongoing inquiries, etc. But that will be really interesting because we've seen the record fine handed out of 17 million to Entain. Could William Hills potentially be bigger than that? And then that really would put a in a position of crisis, you would think. But yeah, so Regulus Partners, like I've said, the gambling analyst duo of Dan Waugh and Paul Leyland, they often make for pretty essential reading on anything in the gambling industry. And they said the 888 situation and Pazner's exit shows the dangers and the dangerous nature of grey market operating processes. And that, Nico, conveniently and ever so slightly controversially, brings us on to our next topic of evolution, which has reported its Q4 and full year results today. As you said at the top, Pierre was hoping to join us today. He's a big fan of evolution, as we know, but he's enjoying a long weekend off in Marbella. Probably deserves a rest, to be fair. And we also tried to get our good friend of the show, Magnus Anderson, on, who is a really informed investor in evolution, but he had some other engagements. So I'm afraid you'll have to do with me and Nico on this one. But we'll do our best. Let's take a quick look at the numbers first. So Q4 revenue was up 36% to 408 million. Full year revenue was up 36% to 1.46 billion. Q4 EBITDA hit 280 million, and full year EBITDA reached 1 billion euros on an EBITDA margin of 69%. Nico, that's pretty staggering, would you say?
That's to rephrase it in a. So first of all, I'm out of words, right? Because these numbers are insane. Never forget that we are speaking about an overall economic climate with the war in Ukraine, increasing inflation, lower consumer confidence due to the remaining pandemic effect, and evolution literally does their magic and increases the already insane numbers still and ongoing. And especially with the EBITDA margin of nearly 70%, which is unseen, literally unseen. And that's why, evolution is pretty much the pride of Sweden as well. And maybe, but just maybe, me taking a guess, that's also the reason while Pierre is now enjoying a vacation in Marbella.
I love it. Shots fired. Nice one, Nico. We'll have to let him reply to that live on air at ICE next week. Um, I just want to say hello to Ross, who says, "Welcome to the 30 Club." I'm pretty sure Ross is in the 40 Club, but thanks anyway. So, like you just said, Nico, evolution is no ordinary business. But what separates it from many other public gambling companies is that just 40% of revenue came from regulated markets in Q4, and that tells you that they aren't, afraid of getting into these kind of trickier territories. I think I'm hoping we've got a pie chart here which shows you their revenue mix. And as you can see there, like the higher percentage markets are unregulated. So Asia, which was the fastest growing, is 33.4%. The rest of Europe, which excludes the UK and the Nordics, was 30.5%. So yeah, they're not afraid to get stuck in. Thanks for that graph, Elizabeth. And Alan Bowden, or Gambling Lamb on Twitter, as he's probably better known, is a really well-known gambling industry expert. He did a thread about these results today where he described evolution as a proper throwback and the last of the old school, simply because they are able to make so much money from kind of these unregulated markets. And as Regulus pointed out with 888, this you have to say this grey market exposure does not come without risks, but would you say it's probably slightly easier for suppliers than it is for operators?
So the thing is, if you just take a look at, just let me postpone your question just a little bit.
Sure.
How volatile the stock price of Evolution actually, reacts to short seller reports. We've seen this already twice. When a
Mm-hmm.
short seller report, especially in the US, came out, and then the stock prices went down at least 15%, but they have always been able to recover from this kind of stock prices going down due to their reliable business. And you don't build up a multi-billion Swedish crown business in the short term. So they have a reliable business, and that's why I'm pretty sure we've not seen the end of the overall stock prices of Evolution. But getting back to your question, I don't know how they actually and literally book their revenues, where they're coming from, because in the end they for sure offer their services to companies which then operate in all over the world. So I might ask Todd about this one as well, within a quiet and cozy place. And Todd is always a great guy to talk to,
Yeah.
hands down. And shout out once again to him, his team, and the team of Evolution, because they repeatedly and continue to deliver awesome numbers. And maybe he will just give me one or two insights, which for sure Magnus Anderson would be able to tackle down already.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately we can't. But I'm pretty sure the history and the story of Evolution just speaks for itself.
Yeah, agreed. But evolution aren't afraid of this because it's there in black and white in their Q4 report, that 40% regulated revenue figure. But back to Regulus partners, they're never afraid to kind of stick their head above the parapet, as it were. And they suggested in their analyst note today on the evolution results that OneXBet could potentially be Evolution's biggest customer. providing over 200 million of Evolution's B2B revenue. And they actually estimate that OneXBet generated, check this out, 1.3 billion in B2C revenue from Evolution products alone last year. That's more astronomical figures, Nico. But yeah, I don't want to get you into trouble with Todd. So let's move on from that. So
Yeah, skip it for now.
Sure.
Skip it for now.
Evo said that they'll release another 100 games this year, following on from 88 games last year. So Nico, maybe this is a question for you that you'd rather answer. Is there a harder working company in gambling?
First of
apart
all,
from iGaming Next.
except except from the MD enjoying life in Marbella, pretty sure at an awesome yacht, but not putting too much pressure on the poker guy. But when they literally announced that they are about to, if I'm not mistaken, by last year's numbers, when they announced the numbers, they stated that they want to publish more than 75 or 80 games in the upcoming year. They did not hold back, so 88 games is awesome. Now they come up with, we want to publish 100 games, and Todd already stated that this is not the end, as they will also have a big statement during ICE as well. I'm pretty sure, as this 100 games is already out and hit the news already, there will be something more which they will unleash during ICE. And as you stated, it's not for sure, not the end, and the success for sure also gives them quite a decent budget and innovating themselves on a constant basis as well.
Yeah, exactly. And Ashish asks whether it's 100 games in the current year, and that's correct. They've basically pledged to launch 100 games for 2023 after 88 games last year. It'll be interesting to see which of those games are from the slots and the RNG department, because that's the one that's kind of performing under expectations, according to Evolution, who said they need to improve their kind of their efficiency in that department, which includes like the NetEnt and the big time gaming brands, etc. But as you point out, Nico, I expect a lot of those games will be on show next week at ICE. Before we dive into that, what are your plans for ICE next week?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. So my calendar is already closed, so no more appointments. And shout out to each and everybody. As this is the ICE show. It's pretty much the show, the biggest show we see within our industry, when you just meet the whole family of the iGaming industry. And it's always fun. London is always a fun town. Then our industry, the decision makers, are just always fun to being around. And yeah, I'm just thrilled to see the overall bunch of crazy people within our industry packed in one place.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be a great show, I think. My calendar's pretty full as well. Got some exciting interviews and networking drinks to look forward to. But the big news about ICE this week was that from 2025, it could be set to change entirely, because Clarion, which is the organisers, said that it's decided on 4 potential cities to host the event between 2025 and 2029. Those are London, which is obviously where it is now, Barcelona or Madrid in Spain, or Paris in France. So, putting you on the spot, Nico, which one of those would get your vote?
Madrid.
Why is that?
Madrid will get my vote, as they're already, what's the good thing I love about this industry is you get in touch with different cities, right? New York is already taken, New Jersey taken, Barcelona taken. I don't remember any big exhibition from our industry being hosted in Madrid.
Yeah.
So I'm thrilled for Madrid. Unfortunately, my French ain't that good. It's pretty much to zero. So that's why I don't like to go to Paris. And Paris is more a couples thing. So that's why I vote for Madrid. So
Too
what's your
romantic,
favorite?
Paris, is it? um, right. Well, I'm going to put my case forward for keeping it in London, and I would say that because I live in the UK, obviously. But I know everybody hates London in the winter, and in February it's cold and it's rainy and it's dark. But here's my reasoning. So this year will be the first year where the Elizabeth tube line is running, and that's going to change everything as far as I'm concerned, because before you had to go on the DLR and it was a complete nightmare and the carriages were full and it was slow and it took you ages to get back into London, and there's not that many places that are good for kind of meetings and networking drinks around the XL. But now with the Elizabeth line, you can get from Liverpool Street Station to the XL in 11 minutes, and about 15 minutes from Tottenham Court Road, which is in Soho. So keep it in London. That's what I say. Never change. People don't like change.
That's
But
a fact.
that is a fact. I also agree with you. I'd like an excuse to go to Madrid because I've not been there, and there's not many gaming conferences there either. And you say Paris is more of a couples thing. That's a good point. But also, online casino is not legal in France, so I think that might be I think that might be the dark horse in this race for that reason. But Jan of SBC put a poll out this week on LinkedIn to ask which city he thought people would like to go to. And you can see the results there, Nico. The people agree with you. 28% have voted for Madrid, and that's out of more than 400 votes. But it's pretty close there if you look at the figures. It's a tight run thing.
Indeed, it is. And as you already pointed out, maybe their overall kind of we are thinking about moving it just started with their thoughts last year when they shifted the ice from February to April. And
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of rumors going on what actually caused. First of all, shifting one of the biggest event from February to April is quite obvious. But then, if you just take a look at the overall floor plan, there had been some of the big names missing, maybe, but that's just a rumor, so we don't know for a fact that maybe one of these, the biggest contributors to the overall floor plan, put some pressure on Clarion, and that's why they probably decided on at least just having a team investigating on what could be a solution to actually please each and every one of the exhibitors as well.
Yeah, that's right. When we saw ice move to April following the COVID restrictions, there were a couple of traditionally very big exhibitors missing in the form of Novomatic and Mirka Gaming. So yeah, potentially they've had some influence here. Katie says Amsterdam, which was a good option and a popular option for a lot of people, although obviously IGB has a show there already. The other cities that got quite a lot of love were Lisbon. How do you feel about that, Nico? What about Portugal?
I like Lisbon, and if I'm not mistaken, there's one of the biggest events, the Web Summit. Is this still in Lisbon? Because they moved from Dublin to Lisbon like a couple of years ago. Is this still going on, the Web Summit in Lisbon?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. We'll have to
Okay,
ask our
okay.
audience.
Okay, so for sure, we attended the Web Summit back in 2015 or 14, while it was still in Dublin,
Mm-hmm.
and it was well organized, like crazy organized already, like the iGaming Next things. So lessons learned from just attending this exhibition, and they literally paved the way for Lisbon. So they have a fully equipped overall conference center. I'm pretty sure that everybody will like what you're literally able to see and find. You have the cable cars
Hmm.
running on the conference itself, so would be fun to actually see it. Although Amsterdam could be a possible move as well. I'm pretty sure, and no hard feelings that it's just too small. It's just too small. The RAI in Amsterdam can't literally hold a conference like Excel is doing. So that's why we need to keep in mind just the biggest conference places we have to offer all over Europe, and Lisbon could be one of the conferences or locations to go to.
Hmm. Yeah, lots of people discussing ICE in the comments. Bogdan says COVID proved to some of the companies that being present at ICE is not a must. It does not kill the business, and they can exhibit in some other shows they've never been to before. We've actually commissioned a really interesting feature piece this week that we're planning to publish on Monday, which is about the landscape of gambling trade shows at the moment and whether something has to give in 2023. So that'll be an interesting read. Keep your eyes peeled for that one. Lots to talk about. Obviously, iGaming next, and SBC, and Sigma, and ICE in there. But Katie is asking the question we all want an answer to, Nico, which is: will we see you dancing this year? Your knee had just had surgery last year.
So yeah, getting back to my knee, I've torn the my patella by crossing a street, crossing a dry street. So if I start
Ouch.
doing this kind of adrenaline sports like dancing, I can already book an appointment with another knee surgery as well. I'm, just tipping my toe. That's dancing, like crazy dancing for me. But I'm pretty sure Katie and Liga from Riga, we have plenty of fun besides me dancing and breaking a bone as well.
Yeah, great. We won't see you at Fire and Ice on the podiums then, Nico, sadly. I think we've had a really good fun chat about ICE. We were going to talk about DraftKings and some of their layoffs this week, including some job losses in Ukraine. But to be honest with you, Nico, I don't think we should kill the mood with that. I think we should leave it there for today because we've had a great time. And we've provided, a lot of comments and a lot of insight on a lot of the developing stories this week. But I think Matthew Booth in the comments section probably says it better than we ever could, where he says, the shit is hitting the fan. As ever in the gambling industry, would you say? Right. Nico, should we say goodbye?
We can say goodbye, and as you said, just keep the good mood, because anything else, we could literally pick topics which would kill the mood, but keeping it like this, all good. I'm ready to go, and thanks for the funny chats. Thanks for the funny comments. A wheelchair probably would fit me best. I just need someone to actually roll me up. So maybe, and touching down on what we discussed so often, that's probably the main reason why Pierre is taking off a week in Marbella, just to get back to his regular strength, to literally help me out with the wheelchair.
Push you
I
around
would
in a
just
wheelchair.
state it like this, but we never know.
Yeah, oh, that is a sight I would love to see, I must say. But yeah, thanks everybody for your discussion today. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully, we'll see a lot of you next week in London at ICE. Nico, you've been amazing as ever. Thank you very much for joining us. And thanks again to our sponsors, Playson. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
New York, New York, the city that never sleeps, and the gateway to the land of opportunity. A true melting pot where dreams become reality and great ideas come to life. With the U.S. online sports betting and iGaming sectors predicted to generate $10 billion in 2023, there is so much potential to fulfill. The competition is fierce, and nobody said it would be easy. But together, we can make our sector fly. So get ready to learn, connect, and inspire at iGaming Next.